What is going on, folks? My name is Spice. This is Spice Can't Fish. Right here in my hands, I've got my swim bait box. This is my box filled with all of my really expensive swim baits, or I guess somewhat expensive swim baits. If you guys have been around the channel for a little while, you guys have probably seen a couple of videos dedicated specifically to swim bait fishing. It's something that I'm trying to learn a little bit more and get a little bit more accustomed to. It seems like it's something that a lot of people have recently started picking up, and I want to be able to catch bigger fish because, as you guys can probably tell, I'm not very good at doing that. And one of the best ways to do that is to throw really big swim baits. For whatever reason, big bass love big swim baits. Probably just because it's a big meal, has a lot of draw power to it. But for whatever reason, big bass absolutely love big swim baits. Now, a few videos ago, I dropped my swim bait arsenal video where I went over the 8 or 9 baits that I was going to be using most frequently throughout this next coming season. And right here, I've got a few more baits to add to that collection. So I've got 4 brand new swim baits to add to my little swim bait arsenal, including 2 of the most expensive swim baits that I personally have ever bought myself. So we're going to get right into the unboxing, or I guess just kind of show and tell. Not really an unboxing, but I'll show you guys the brand new baits that I'm going to be throwing and kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea as to why I picked up each individual one. When I first got into throwing swim baits, I just wanted to try a whole bunch of different things, so I bought a bunch of different, more inexpensive baits. Most of those baits have since been retired or lost or something like that. A lot of the baits that I threw and bought, I didn't really end up liking, so I sold them or gave them away or just fished them until I lost them. But this year, as well as in the future, I want to focus more on quality of baits as opposed to quantity. There isn't really a huge reason to have a massive collection of swim baits. It's really cool, but if you're not going to be able to throw each individual bait, then I don't really see the purpose in having a massive collection of them. But there were a few baits that I looked at that I really wanted to get my hands on. I just thought they had a really good spot in my arsenal, and to be honest, a few of them I just really wanted to try. So again, we're just going to get right into this little show and tell, and I'll show you guys the brand new swim baits that we're going to be working with this year. Alright, so this first bait that I'm going to show you guys was recommended to me by a few people. Again, last year when I first started getting into swim baits, I was asking around trying to figure out what a lot of people like to throw, just get a good idea as to some good, relatively budget-friendly options to get into swim bait fishing. And this was one bait that was suggested to me quite a few times, like I said, but I never ended up picking up, so I decided to pick one up this year. This is the Arashi Glide swim bait. So I believe these things come in just over 3 ounces, so a little bit bigger swim bait, a little bit longer, kind of a similar profile to like an S-Waver or something like that. I believe this is the green gill color, just a super natural looking, translucent-ish bluegill kind of imitator. I wanted a little bit of a longer profile bluegill bait. A lot of my bluegill baits are obviously taller profile because bluegill tend to have a taller profile to them. But I didn't have any of those longer style baits in that bluegill kind of colorway, so I figured I'd pick one up. Again, been looking at this bait for a little while, so it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to pick one up in like a little bluegill color. Really stoked to throw this thing around again. It's been recommended to me for a good long time. From what I understand, it does sink a little bit fast, but it's got a nice wide kick to it, a nice big S-waving motion, and I'm just really excited to get this thing in the water and see what it can do. I know Brandon Polnick and Carl Jochimson, I believe, both helped develop this bait. I know Brandon Polnick did. I'm not entirely sure if Carl Jochimson had a hand in that designing process as well, but I know they both have thrown this bait, caught a bunch of big fish on it, won a good bit of money on the professional tour, and I figured if Brandon Polnick and all of them can catch them on this bait, I could probably at least get bit on it. Not that I'm anywhere near as good of a fisherman as Brandon Polnick or any of those professional guys, but I mean, they designed it to catch big fish, so hopefully it'll work for me as well. Now going in the complete opposite direction, we've got another somewhat similar profile bait, a completely different presentation though. Look at this little thing. This is the Donkey Bay swim baits. I believe it's the Arashi Glide is what they call this. Just a little tiny sub 5 inch, I believe it's 4 3/4 of an inch, but just a little tiny glide bait. These are handmade by a guy named Mike Herman, or Mike Herman Jr. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But I've been seeing these baits around for a little while. I've always wanted to pick one up. As you could imagine, they are designed after a pogie or a bunker, which is a saltwater fish. But I figured that little sub 5 inch size should work perfectly well, imitating like a small shad or a bait fish like that as well. Got a nice little soft plastic tail on there, so hopefully that doesn't get ripped up too quickly. But other than that, I'm really excited to throw this little thing around. Again, just a perfect little shad imitation. I'm not entirely sure what he calls this color, but just kind of like a natural bait fish to it. It looks kind of white. It's actually more of like an off-white in person. It's got a little bit of a pearlescence to it as well, but really sweet looking little bait, really interesting little profile, and again, just something that I don't have in the arsenal. I have that little baby bluegill, but other than that, I don't have any small sub 5-inch glide baits or swim baits or anything like that. So I figured I'd pick this little thing up and see what we can do with it. Again, it is a saltwater bait. It's based off of a saltwater fish, so it does have those big saltwater hooks on them. I believe these were designed for ladyfish, speckled trout, redfish, stuff like that. But again, should work perfectly fine for bass as well, just imitating like a little bait fish or a shad or a shiner or something like that. But yeah, got a few ponds that I really want to throw this thing around at, so hopefully you guys will be able to see some fish caught on this thing later in the year. Alright, halfway through this little show and tell, and we are getting to the stuff that I'm really, really excited about. This next bait I have wanted for probably almost as long as I've been bass fishing, not even swim bait fishing, just bass fishing in general. I remember seeing this bait in a bunch of old videos. I know John B did a bunch of old videos on this bait, a bunch of different colorways and stuff like that. Really, really well-known bait. Very expensive bait, very well refined bait, and I've been looking forward to picking one of these up for a good long time. But yeah, super refined, super expensive Japanese bait. Really excited to finally get one in my hands and get one into the arsenal. Again, I've been looking at this thing for a good long time. I know they catch absolute giants. I know they catch a lot of fish as well, so I'm really, really stoked to get this little bluegill presentation in the arsenal. And here she is, the old Depths bull shooter. I don't know what colorway or pattern this is. It's one of their natural gill patterns, but I am so excited to finally own one of these things. My buddy's had one. I believe he actually has the exact same color as me, but he's had one for a little while, and I've been kind of jealous of him. Kind of wanted to throw it around, but I didn't want to be on the hook for losing a $100 bait, so I figured I would just wait until I picked up my own. And we finally have one, so I can finally test this thing out, throw it around some ponds near me, hopefully catch a few big old fish on it. Like I said, it is a glide bait. It's a slow sink. I believe this is the 130 size or 110 size, something like that. 160 size. I don't really know what size this is. Sorry, it actually says it on the bottom. It's the 160 size. So it's the 160 SS, just a perfect little refined bluegill glide bait. I've seen people throw this and really try and twitch it with the reel. Doesn't seem like it's a great bait for that. It seems like it really excels just on a straight cast and retrieve, so should be a super easy bait to get bit on. I think we're just going to have to put it in front of the right fish. It's only a matter of time before I get bit on this thing. I know a lot of people catch like a bunch of 2 to 3 pounders on this thing, but people also catch them up 8, 9, 10 pounds on this bait as well. So really excited to see what it can produce for me this spring and summer. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, this is not a new bait. This is actually a used bait. I'm not sure if you could see that. There is a little bit of hook rash on it. I picked it up from some guy in SWIMBAITS Underground, so I got a pretty solid deal on it. Again, I was not going to pay the full price tag on this thing. It's just way too expensive, and I feel like I'm probably going to lose it way too fast. So I was waiting around looking for a good deal. Finally managed to find a good one for a nice price, and yeah, here we are. Finally have a bull shooter. And this last bait is the one that I am probably most excited about. It is my most expensive bait that I've ever bought. I bought this bait full price, 100%. Didn't get any good deal on it, didn't get a discount on it, absolutely nothing like that. But I just needed to have this bait in my arsenal. I've seen a few people catch some fish on it. It's not a bait or a company that I see a lot of people talk about, but it just looks so badass. I knew I had to get my hands on one. So I waited around until there was a drop, finally got my hands on one, and after months and months of waiting, we finally have one of these in the arsenal. And the best part is I managed to grab it in the color that I wanted too, so absolutely perfect. It worked out really, really well for me. And here's that bait. This is the Beebs Big Baits Blaster. Look at that thing. So it's a wake bait. It's a 2-piece wake bait. It's got that soft plastic tail to it as well. Super big, meaty hooks on it. Very wide profile bait. Super, super interesting. I believe it's a silent bait. Yeah, completely silent, but it does make some nice knocking noise. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that plastic, when the joint clicks back and forth, makes a nice little clicking noise to it. And yeah, this is officially the most expensive bait that I own. I, again, have been trying to get my hands on one of these for a good long time. Not a very big company, as far as I know. I've seen a few people, again, like I said, catch some really nice fish on this thing. and I really wanted one, so I did what I could to try and get my hands on one. Finally managed to do so. This is the green sunfish, or green gill color or something like that. I'm not really sure what he calls this, but it is just a little bluegill pattern. Again, this is a little 2-piece wake bait, so I think it gets down to just about a foot underneath the water. And yeah, I'm really excited to get some hook rash on this thing in the spring. I feel like this thing is going to be incredible around the spawn, post spawn. I wanted to get it essentially just as like a bigger version of the G2 shell cracker, which you guys know that I absolutely love that bait. But I wanted something with a little bit of a bigger profile, so here we go. This is, I believe, like a 2.5 ounce bait. I don't know exactly how long it is, maybe like 6 or 7 inches with the tail in it, but really great little compact profile. Again, super beefy, super thick. From what I see, it wakes really well, but it also walks really well, so you can kind of walk it in place as well, which is really, really nice. It's a super versatile bait. Really, really excited to get this thing out on the water. Again, this is the most expensive bait that I own, and probably the one that I'm most excited to get around to throwing. I'll probably have to wait another couple of months before I can actually get it into the water and get some bites on it, but we'll give it a shot probably middle of May, end of May, and hope for an early topwater bite. But that is going to do it for today's video, folks. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I'm really, really excited to get some of these baits out on the water. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have tried any of these baits, if you guys want to see a specific video on any of them. Again, I plan on doing videos on each of them at some point or another, but if you guys want to see a specific one faster or sooner than another one, I'll do my best to try and get out and fish with that bait in particular to make a video for you guys. But again, stoked to get these baits in the arsenal, get them out and try them this spring and summer, see what we can get bit on. Again, this is probably one of the most expensive swim bait hauls I've ever bought. But yeah, just super excited to get these baits out on the water, see what we can do with them, put some hook rash on them, put some teeth marks in them, and see what we can catch a new personal best on. But yeah, like the video if you guys like the content, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see some more content from me. Hopefully we'll be able to get out and do some more fishing pretty soon. It is starting to be that beginning time of the year, so the fishing is a little bit slow right now, but it's slowly but surely starting to pick up. So hopefully we'll be able to get out and do some actual fishing with some baits instead of just sitting around talking about them. Check them and wreck them, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace.